Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anouk, but most of you probably know me as Nook from Nook's Hooks. I'm a crocheter. I design crochet patterns. Now I also make YouTube videos. I run a Patreon and I run an Instagram. Somehow, next to all of that, I also do a 9 to 5. So in today's vlog, I wanted to talk a bit about how I manage to balance my 9 to 5 next to my crochet so it all just doesn't become too much for me. I have my notes next to me, so if I'm looking to the side of the screen, sometimes it's just because I'm double checking my notes that I've said everything I wanted to say. So before we jump in, I want to put an emphasis on the fact that I try to balance my 9 to 5 and my crochet business because it's not always successful. It's a hard process, and running these things simultaneously can get hard, but these are just some things that I do to help myself to really get through it all. I thought this would be the perfect time to talk about this because I'm also prepping for a big con right now, so my life is really busy at this moment. Currently, I'm living off of caffeine, deadlines, and yarn, so grab your favorite drink and let's get into the video. So my 9 to 5 job is actually me being a PhD researcher at the university. Now this may sound like a very intense job, which it definitely is, but it also has its perks for being able to also have a small business on the side. One of the perks for me, at least, is that in my group, we're very flexible with work hours and we have a lot of vacation days. And flexible by work hours means no one is checking if you're working exactly from 9 to 5. I can have a day where I work a lot longer so that I can work a little less the next day. Or I can start much earlier in my day so that I can stop earlier and have time to record videos in the afternoon or in the evening. The most important part of my job is that I get my work done and not that I've worked the exact amount of hours in a day that I should be. And next to that, I have quite a lot of vacation days. In Belgium, you already have quite a lot of vacation days, and they're very flexible. Like, I can usually decide on the day of, like, today I need a vacation day, and I can just book that vacation day on the day of. That being said, a PhD still is a very stressful thing to do, but somehow I do manage it, and I've gotten this far. And finding the balance between working that 9 to 5 and crocheting is really vital to make it work and to not go into a burnout. So how my week is usually structured is Monday to Friday I work 9 to 5. My hours may vary a bit depending on how much I get done in a day. On most evenings I try to make time for Nook's Hooks, and that means crocheting a bit, now also vlogging, taking images in my studio. I now have a studio with studio lights, which means I don't have to wait for the sun to be shining to make my pictures because I live in Belgium. 1, the winter is basically rain 4 months at a time. 2, I think in the winter time it gets dark by like 5 p.m. so I have no time to get any daylight pics in. So that's been a great help as well. Sometimes I'll edit a vlog now, I'll catch up on Patreon, I'll reply to some comments, but I can't even do that every night. Some evenings I'm just not able to, I'm too tired. And then I'm not always successful, but I try to do at least 2 gym sessions a week where I do like a spinning class or I go for a run or I do my Thursday evening workout class. And definitely on those nights, I'll never force myself to crochet. My body is tired. I usually just need some time to watch TV. We also have to cook dinner together, have dinner. The nights just become short when I have a workout class. And because of all that, my weekends have really become the time where I do most of my crocheting. I make sure I don't fully book my weekends. I try to, so that I have like at least a full day or 2 half days where I can really focus on crochet and get a lot of work done. As you saw in my previous vlog, where on Sunday I got so much work done. I think I finished 8 or 9 bears in a day. Granted, they were whips, but I still did a lot. And I filmed a Patreon vlog, I edited that vlog, posted it, filmed the vlog you watched, edited it, and posted it all on the same day. So that was a very productive day, and that's how I try to keep it, at least 1 full day per weekend that's completely for my crochet business. But of course, take that with a grain of salt, because some weekends I'm just not feeling it, and I will never pressure myself into actually working if I'm really not feeling it and I need a break. Or if I just have plans that weekend that I really want to attend, I'm not just gonna cancel all of my plans just because I have to work, but I do tend to sometimes say, no, I need time for myself, or I need time to work for Nook's Hooks, so I can't take more plans that weekend. So now I wanted to go over the different things that I actually have to do to uphold my Nook's Hooks business, which might be a bit more than you think. So it all started on Instagram. I used to force myself to post at least once a day, and I definitely recommend that if that is your only platform you're working with. But recently I've been allowing myself to post more sporadically because I also have so many other things to keep up on, and I have my 9 to 5 job. I still check up on my comments and my messages daily if I can, post on my stories because I really enjoy posting on my stories because it's such a personal touch and I get to give you little sneak peeks of what I'm working on, show you who I'm watching on YouTube. So I think that's very fun to do. But yes, very importantly with Instagram is that I don't force myself anymore to post daily. Next on the list, we have Patreon. Patreon is more of my cozy corner of the internet where I don't focus on making things aesthetic or making things perfect. It's more about me really connecting with my community on there. I share more of like behind the scenes feels. I have some group chats that I talk to you guys with, which I think is really fun. I post vlogs that are just really talkative, me talking, not too much editing. It's just a space where I can really be myself and connect with my community. Then, since 2 weeks now, YouTube came into the mix, and YouTube takes time. I'm, of course, still a beginner, so I'm assuming it's gonna take less and less time the more I learn, but currently it takes a lot of time. Having to like pick up the camera every time you're crocheting, every time you want to say something, every time I get a package, a yarn, I want to show you guys. So picking up the camera takes a lot of work, explaining what I'm doing takes a lot of work, and editing takes so much work. I'm sure it'll go faster. For now, it took me, I think, 3 or 4 hours to just edit that last video that I posted, which is just me talking. There's not so much to it, but for now it's taking a long time. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it and I will keep posting. And I'm sure I'll get faster at it. And I've even had a couple friends suggest that they would help me with editing, so that would be great as well. We'll see what the future holds. Then there's pattern designing and keeping up with my Etsy. The biggest rule I have set for myself is I do not pressure myself into anything. Crochet is a hobby and it should always stay a hobby. And this is something that I take very seriously, especially when it comes to pattern designing, because if I pressure myself into pattern designing, I will not come out with the best patterns. The only time I ever put out patterns is when I'm feeling really inspired, I have an idea, and I want to create a pattern. I see all these other crocheters post monthly patterns, and I wish I could do that, but I just can't pressure myself into that. I would go into a burnout immediately, because if I'm not inspired, I will not put out great patterns, and I'll just not feel good about that. So yeah, my golden rule with pattern designing is not forcing it. It'll come when it comes. And I'm sorry that you guys don't get a pattern a month for me, but that's just how I work. This has to stay a hobby for me and not a job. With pattern designing, it's not only the inspiration that has to hit you, but it's also writing it all down, testing it a couple times, redoing your mistakes, taking all the pictures you need, uploading it all into Canva, writing out the pattern, get it tested. So it takes a lot of work. Granted, it does go faster the more you do it. Like I have my base pattern that I use for everything and I just edit pieces in there, but it still takes a lot of work. The good thing about patterns is that once they're finished, they are finished. You throw them online on Etsy and you can just leave it be. You'll sometimes have to answer a question or two, but it's there and it's there to stay. All that's left to do is promote your pattern, which is pretty easy for me to do because I absolutely adore making my bears and all of my modular patterns. So I just keep posting what I make and that promotes my patterns. So all that being said, managing Nook's hooks, doing everything myself and combining it with a 9 to 5 is hard. There are times where I get home or I have a period where I'm not inspired and I don't want to crochet, I don't want to pick up a camera, and it's in those moments that it's very easy to feel guilty that you're not doing that. It has become such a strict rule for myself that I do not feel guilty about those things. And it's that mindset that has really helped me balance all of this. Because at the end of the day, my crochet account started as a hobby and I want to keep it a hobby forever. It is something that I love doing. And the moment that becomes purely a job, I won't love it anymore and it's just going to send me into a burnout. A funny story on how I actually got here is I always say it kind of happened on accident. I had this moment where I just started crocheting so much to deal with the stress of my PhD, and I had all these plushies laying around at home, and I decided to start an Instagram, which was more so that I could share my makes with my family and friends. And then suddenly I got a couple ideas for my own little pattern and I posted them. One of those patterns was my No-Sew Mini Stegosaurus pattern. Now that pattern really took off and it grew my crochet page by a lot. And then, yeah, I just kept putting things out when I felt inspired. And then accidentally I ended up with 34,000 followers on Instagram and quite a big Etsy account where my patterns are loved by quite a few of you, which really makes me so happy. But yes, I always say I got here on accident. I never meant to start a crochet business. I did not know there was a crochet community. This started with me wanting to share what I made with my friends and family. So making sure that the crochet part of my life does not become a job also means that I can never really quit my 9 to 5. I will always keep a steady income because I never want there to be financial pressure on Nooks Hooks. It's great to have some extra income on the side, but I do not want it to be my main income. I don't want to be focusing on the financial side of this because that means there's so much pressure on having an income each month. And if now I have a bad month, it's all okay because I have my steady income. So for that reason, I will never fully quit my job. I will probably eventually go half-time just so that I have more time for Nooks Hooks because I want to spend more time for Nooks Hooks, but I don't want it to be my main steady source of income. And because I want to keep it all just fun and not pressure myself, that does mean that the growth can sometimes go a bit slower than with others. And that's another really important part of balancing, is not comparing yourself with what other people are doing. I see other pages growing a lot more fast than I do, get a lot more views, a lot more likes, but that's totally fine. I'm happy for them. I'm happy with how I manage my business and I don't put any pressure on that. Granted, I do still have to remind myself of that because scrolling on social media, you will undoubtedly compare yourself with others, but trying not to do that is so important to me. So my main tips on how I get through this really busy life are: number 1, try not to do everything at once. Choose 1 or 2 things you want to do in an evening, but don't do it all at once. Crochet one day, edit another, vlog another. I still need to listen to my own advice on this one because I feel like I can do everything in a day, but really just focus on what you feel like doing on that day. I keep my weekends open as much as I can. I don't sacrifice too many social plans, but I do try to just give myself that peace and quiet in the weekends to work on Nooks Hooks. Having at least one day a week where I have no social obligations is really necessary for me. 3, exercising. It really, really keeps me grounded, keeps me motivated, makes me feel good, and I'm always ready to really jump into crochet again and work for Nooks Hooks the next day. And most importantly, every week looks different. Never pressure yourself into, you have to do all of these things every week. Sometimes Nooks Hooks takes up all of my free time in the week. Sometimes I barely work on it because my PhD has priority in that week. Sometimes I just need a week off to do nothing and lay in the sofa, and that's also totally fine. Crochet has to stay a hobby, and that is what I cannot emphasize enough for me to be able to keep this crochet small business next to my 9 to 5. So yeah, that's a bit on how I try to balance my 9 to 5 with my crochet business. It's not the perfect plan. It's a bit messy. Sometimes I do less, sometimes I do more, but it really works for me, and that's how I've been doing it. The most important lesson that you have to take away from this is that you don't have to be working at 100% all the time. You can take time off. You don't have to feel inspired to crochet all the time. You don't have to want to pick up a hook every day. You don't have to be active on social media every day. Sometimes it takes a few days for me to get to messages just because it all feels a bit overwhelming, and that's all fine. I know you guys will still be here if I go MIA for a couple of days, or if I don't keep up with my Instagram for a couple of days. So that's how I manage my 9 to 5 next to my crochet business, and I'd love to hear what you guys do. It can be a 9 to 5, but it can also be managing a household, managing kids next to a crochet business. That's all hard. So if you have any tips on how to manage those and keep them in balance, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this more chatty, informative style video that I'm trying out. It's a lot different than my 3 past videos that were vlogs on everything I made and such, but I thought I would throw this one in the mix because it really is a very busy period in my life right now, and I felt that I just needed to ground myself as well on the tips that I use to keep it all balanced, to remind myself why I'm doing this, and to maybe help you guys if you're going through a busy period as well. So don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. I have a lot of content coming up. In about a week and a half, it is my con that I'm prepping for, so I still have a lot of prep work to do. I think you can expect 2 more videos before the con. One about the final crunch and getting all the supplies I need, making the final bears. how many bears I have in stock, but also how much my complete stock is worth. And then also a video about my practice setup, packing up, making my way to Facts, and maybe already a bit on setting up at Facts on Friday evening. And then I'll edit that vlog in the evening and hopefully post it before Facts actually starts on Saturday. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Make sure to follow along on that journey. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's a first from me. So let me know in the comments below what you think. I'd love to hear it. But now it's time for me to grab my crochet hook and do some more crocheting myself. So see you in the next one.